We're back and we're live. Rumble, I apologize. I didn't tag you along, so I just did right now. So you're with us. It's Monday. I don't want it to go too crazy long, but who knows? Whenever I catch a good one, I can't shut up. And this is my place where I get to vent. But all the crazy shit I see online, I hope not everybody's like that. I don't think everyone is like what we see on the internet. When you go outside, I think it's going to take a lot for you to get reactions from people like you would on the internet. Now let's check all my streams. Cool, it's working. I like it. All right. Cool. What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing? I'm going to play some music and share the link. You know how we do. Yeah, we're back. All right, let's play this song I've discovered the other day while we just let people gather.
It was just me and a few fellas, smoking up over here. Little thing right there. Pass me that shit. Yeah, that's nice. Now I'm talking about, so we was up at the skating rink. There was like a few little chocolate things over there. And my little boy told me I couldn't get at it. So I had to show him how to put it to the test. We was talking about what love is and what fucking is. We were definitely trying this fuck. Later in life, it turned out to be love. And that's how I met your mama.
I'm just trying to make you see. Ain't nobody loving you. The way I do. The way I do. The way I do. Ain't nobody fuck with you. The way I do. The way I do. The way I do. Ain't nobody loving you. The way I do. The way I do. The way I do. Ain't nobody fuck with you. Ain't nobody fuck with you. The way I do. My music is supposed to make you shiver.
All right.
My dick is supposed to make you come over and over again. My tree is supposed to make you get higher and higher. I know you're still fed up, but you'll feel so much better in your bed with me laid up. Ain't nobody loving you the way I do. The way I do. The way I do. Ain't nobody fuck with you the way I do. The way I do. The way I do. Ain't nobody loving you the way I do. Loving you the way I do. Ain't nobody fuck with you the way I do. The way I do. Elevate my life, my soul, my heart, my mind. Your eyes seem closed. It's time to hold your breath when we underwater. Pressure will unfold. They look at us. You and us, we vision. How real can this television get what you inside? How real can this television get what you inside?
Place up to the UK. Changing everything, make the plane great. Yeah, we stay, I ain't been there. Been a fan, know you though. Do your little thing, no sunset, keep it low with the pillow talk. Walk it out low, got a real nice stress. If we just love, I ain't trying to fuss. Give a little shrug when you talk about bust, right? Need to try to buy you stuff, aight. My time is falling short. Fingertips are typing letters like it's my report. Airport suffocate, Lord. Speak as if I'm a god.
What a cool song, huh?
I grew up broad shouldered with a pod, solar system holder. I fold up without ceiling, cause that stick in the ceiling.
What a jam. Found that this weekend. Started grooving hard. How's everyone feeling out there? What's the pulse like? What's the pulse? 420. Yeah, we should do that. We should do that. We should smoke weed. We should definitely smoke it some Mary Janeth and celebrate life and appreciate its medicinal purposes. I am a card carrying member. I'd say the reason why I smoke weed medically is anxiety. I don't like Adderall. I've taken Adderall. It's way too addictive. It's way too addictive. Adderall turns me into a little sex demon, dude. I'd rather not. That's a man's joie de vivre. You can't just waste all that. You love the music I share. Cool, thanks. There will be a day where Slick Nick will be DJing somewhere. I could see myself doing that. You know, like a few of the people I appreciate, they just end up DJing at the end of their career. That's fun. Bring the vibe, bring the party. You guys see Hunter Biden getting really popular on X? What the fuck? Yeah, weed's not a drug, man. That's like I've had people criticize me for weed, and I know they drink wine, and I know that they're not even thinking twice about alcohol. It's legal. No, fuck that. It's a plant. Weed is a plant. There's a case to be made about cocaine as well. I got turntables in this house. I just haven't used them. Got a lot of toys in here I haven't used. Bruh, I just like to be high. The world is my ailment. Is that the correct way of saying it? It's like ailment? No. It's my disease. All right. Hold on. We're at home right now. I'm going to keep you guys stationary. You can't come up there with me. I'll bring you down. Weed was put here for a purpose, man. We can go over that all day. We can talk about it all day. Have I made a weed movie? Surprisingly not. I think that would be a good blend of what if I could tie in the January 6th movement to push for legalizing marijuana fully, like skip this Schedule 3 business. And I think really why they went Schedule 3, and I don't know shit about fuck when it comes to this, but this is just theory. When it comes to like weight management, it might be easiest to get all the systems out there in sequence first before just completely saying, hey, it's legal. Everyone can smoke it. That might be too administratively chaotic. So they might have gone like, hey, schedule it 3. Get everybody ahead of their homework kind of thing. Look how many people love weed that are tuning in. Do you guys know I'm the fucking January 6th Doobie smoker? Who doesn't know that? I like bringing that up. I got pardoned. It's like it never happened. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Hold on. Let me grab my bingos. My bingos. Guys, I finished the movie. It's a short one. But there's a part 2 coming out in August. It's just the way it has to be. All right, I'm gonna play a song real quick while I go get my bong and stuff. Some of us talk to you in jail. You talk to me in jail? You talk to me in jail? Crazy Train? So much has happened, you know. Like, oh fuck, that's cool, man. Here, let's play this song real quick. Ruby Ann, there we go. Fuck yeah. I was gonna say, tell me a name I might remember. I remember that one. I remember you.
Told you I'll be waiting, hiding on the
Mandarin cookies were
young as I want to know, I'll never let you go. Trading the baseball lovers, face the snow. Come to my bedroom, come to my bedroom, come to my bedroom, come to my bedroom.
It's a pretty weird video, huh? Video, I think. What is that? Yeah, that is. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. I would never do that with that song, but I love that song. It's a great song. What's up, everybody? We got people from Rumble, 2 YouTube channels, Twitch. We used to get naughty in Twitch. Remember that back in the day? We used to watch movies all night. Holy fuck. And we would be in Twitch because Twitch wouldn't kick you out for showing copywritten shit. So there were 2 people in the chat room in Twitch who met and fucked and fell in love and are married. I just wanted to say that. One of my friends met a chick in there. And how did we all just vibe? It's kind of like what you guys do in the chat right now. But something happens at night when you're watching movies. You get a little raunchier. So those are some raunchy days. Things have changed. Yeah, boom. You know what's up. See, there's proof. Yeah, and I was with Million at Million's house. We got swatted. That shit, man, that's a burned memory. I can't really ever forget that. That's a PTSD. It is. If I have severe PTSD with knocks, my heart will start skipping so fast. If someone starts knocking at the door, like even if it's Amazon or if I'm in the middle of a nap, because it wasn't a knock, bro. It was fucking the steel bar. They were just breaking the door after I just smoked a bowl. I was just like, oh my fuck. And then Million runs out of his room in his boxers. And I'm like, saw, dude. And then I'm in these like plastic, elastic, synthetic, I guess, marijuana pants. The pants, and then I had the Trump tank top. That's what you wear to jail now. You don't get to choose your outfit before you go to jail. It's whatever you're wearing. And I was like, can I at least put on boxers? They're like, nope. I was like, fuck. And it was winter. I was cold in a lot of places during that time. It's a price you pay for storming a Capitol, I guess. Not really, actually. But how strange that I was already making films like I do. And I ended up front row seat into one of America's biggest inside jobs. That's fucking wild. Talk about being led. Wild. So if none of you know who I am, like if you're just stumbling by somehow, I make documentaries. I'm a creative guy. I make the music in the documentaries. I make the website for the documentaries, and I made the app for the documentaries. I did all of it. And what's cool is I know I'm going to teach you guys. That's actually the logical next step, is whoever watches this and wishes that they could do something similar, especially with the tools we have access to now, AI wise, this is the time to do it. So let me show you what's up. Let me show you what I've done. What have you done? What have you done? What have I done? Let me show you, Mom. They don't really care either. They actually ratted me out to the fucking feds. My familia, basically. My little sister and my older brother. Anyway, let's watch this trailer.
Dude. Karl Rothschild even traveled directly to Rome in 1832 to negotiate with the Pope himself. It was highly controversial at the time, a Jewish banking family financing the Vatican. Some Catholics were outraged that a Jew was allowed to kiss the Pope's hand instead of his foot. But in the end, it was pure cold finance. The church needed money. The Rothschilds, who were already the go-to bankers for half of Europe's governments, happily provided it at interest, just like they did for Austria, Prussia, and Belgium. This was a very profitable business, which ultimately led to the Rothschilds' war machine. From that moment forward, Rothschild financing played a central role in nearly every major 19th century war. They didn't just lend money, they issued massive government bonds and loans that allowed countries to fund their armies and slaughter each other. In the Italian Wars of Unification, 1848 to 1866, the Paris and Naples branches poured money into Piedmont, financing campaigns against Austria, including the bloody battles of Magenta and Solferino. This helped create modern Italy and stripped the Pope of his territorial power. During the Crimean War, 1853 to 1856, the London branch raised £16 million for Britain, directly funding the nightmare battles at Balaclava, Inkerman, and Sevastopol. In the Austro-Prussian War of 1866, Vienna branch loans helped finance Austria's side in the brutal 7 Weeks' War. After the Franco-Prussian War, 1870 to 1871, Paris Rothschilds orchestrated a staggering 5 billion franc bond issue so France could pay massive reparations to Germany after the defeats at Sedan and the siege of Paris. This was their genius. They financed both sides, before, during, and after the conflicts. No matter who won the war, the Rothschilds won the peace, collecting interest and tightening their grip on Europe as wars became more expensive than ever before. But none of their investments would yield a greater return than their role in financing the creation of a Jewish homeland in Palestine, a project that would eventually become the State of Israel.
That's just in a couple of days. That's tight. That's tight. So we're watching this from the website. Boom. Right above it, you can get your tickets. If you don't got money right now, there's a way to watch it anyway. You can get a free account with you get a free month. Use the promo free when you sign up for a monthly. You'll get a free month. You can watch it on the release date and then cancel it before. Boom. Yeah. All right. What else did I want to show you? No. You guys want to watch wait, hold on a second. Hold on. We got to show the next trailer. What am I thinking here? There's two trailers. Okay, also, if you want to be a lifetime member, look, all those prices that you see at like the membership area, if you use the promo LOVE88, it cuts them all in half. As for being here. Yeah, is that it? No.
12.
Yeah, that's it.
The unsinkable Titanic set sail on its maiden voyage. Among the first-class passengers were Astor, Guggenheim, and Strauss, three of the most powerful opponents of the Federal Reserve. All three would die when the ship went down. The official story is tragedy. The conspiracy story is cold-blooded calculation. They say the Titanic that sank was not actually the Titanic. It was her sister ship, the Olympic, deliberately swapped before departure. The Olympic had been damaged in a prior collision and was facing massive insurance losses. J.P. Morgan, who owned the White Star Line and was one of the chief architects pushing for the Federal Reserve, allegedly arranged the switch. The damaged Olympic was disguised as the Titanic, sent out to sea, and intentionally sunk in a controlled operation.
Those who are dead are not dead, they're just living in my head.
The real Titanic, according to the theory, was hidden away and later used under a different name.
And since
That was cool. Yeah. So if you want to watch it, it comes out soon. If you want to support the mission, my mission, I'm bringing conspiracy into the cinema realm. And now with the tools I got now, fuck, man. I feel like I can do anything pretty much. Like I can really. You're just gonna see over the next few years. The next movie comes out on my birthday, August 24th. That's only like 6 weeks after this one. and that's a continuation of this one. I just wanted the first one to live in its own world because you'll see at the end where it bridges into modern day, and the modern day story is a lot more debatable than history. And so one is foundation and the next one is more controversy. There's going to be a lot more disagreements with it. And there's going to be a lot of people vibing hard and fucking with it because it is obvious to some and not to others. So it's cool though, man. I can throw in a photo of Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein and fuck with it. And like put them in front of a shitload of an audience with demonic faces. Or like having them make out. Like the strange ability to be an AI director, creator, prompter, generator, whatever you're calling them now, is fucking crazy. It's crazy. So that's cool. Yeah, I don't know if it's during the pod. I wouldn't call it that anymore. I kind of had this thing where I left social media for 3 months. It started from a heartbreak, like a really big, terrible one that kind of shook me to the core of realizing, oh, I think they're all kind of like this. Maybe it's time to take a break. And I did. And I took a break from everything. I didn't talk to friends. I didn't do social media. And I picked myself up. I even wrote a book in the process, and that book will come out timely with the next film, the second greatest show on earth, because I'm going to tell people, hey, if you're mad at me or if I cracked something of a realization in you, maybe this book will help, because it helped me, because that's what happened when the illusion cracked for me. It was like I was like, how do I get through this? And I was like documenting it is basically what happened. And it became topics of discussion and of instruction in a book. If it was helping me during a moment where all is now different, where something has come to an end, then that could be belief systems, or it could literally, the book is called After the Rush. And that means anything that created rush, positive or negative. Anything that alters your life. How do you take ownership of your life back? And I'm not saying this ranges for people who make movies to people in cults. Like it's the whole full range. And so, yeah, I think that's divine. I think those timings are divine for that. Because the world ain't pretty right now, man. And I love how people can be hopeful. That's really fucking powerful, but it's hope. It's I saw a guy put a message up today. People talk about fear creeping up on you, but what about hope? What do you mean, what about hope? Well, hope can sometimes blind you to the truth of what's happening, and you slowly give something away. And that's pretty deep. Like, you slowly lose something. Because as you look around, a lot of people are seeing kind of the same thing. And some people might have a unique perspective. Are we supposed to see it that way? But that is also a trained response from a culture, a movement. So after the rush, imagine that you just won the lottery. Rush. It's really what makes your nervous system completely take another route, take another direction. So trauma, any kind of positive or negative, you know what does? Falling in love for me fucks my entire shit up. I started to recognize it. Falling in love, dude, is like literally, it's like going and getting a Siamese twin. Just being like, put it on me right here. And it's like the size of her. So, and then you got to carry that around emotionally and spiritually and psychically. Maybe she's on the back, a Siamese back. That's what it is, dude. Then my nervous system gets just messed up, and I hope the next time I do, I have some sense of control. But that's a Look at the way Jesus would face it. Yeah, that's true and all. But I love that faith for the afterlife. Some people, like, I divvied it up to different sects of society. One being the continuist, and this is what I based it from writing a screenplay. I did as a project. I wrote Blade Runner 2099 for fun, and this is what came up. The continuists are the people who are like, bruh, we are all agreeing on one thing, kind of like everyone agrees on for a while. 6 million Jews died, and Hitler was completely evil. That's a continuous notion in a society. And if you choose to maybe investigate why they're so heavy on that, like criticism, like anyone who's trying to get to the bottom of it, then you become an archivist, and you're the guy who's the truther. You're trying to figure out the truth. You're okay if it destroys your peace, because inevitably that's what happens as you learn truth. It is not for everybody. I knew somebody who, and this is an extreme version, but it's very applicable to the greater picture. I knew somebody who told their mom that they had been raped. And this might have been 10 years after it. And it was a family friend, like an uncle. She told her mom, and her mom heard, looked at her, and just walked away and never talked about it again. It's pretty fucked up. But I bet it's more normal than I would think. Don't you? So some people can't handle the red pill. That's why, okay, so they belong to that group, continuist, and there are extremes in there. There are people who are just like, yo, put your head down, go to church, do that thing. And then there are ones who go and protest and want to throw you information to get you to stop thinking outside of the box. But then you have a third category who are the naturalists. They're the ones who have almost been given permission to live outside of the smart cities in nature. They'd rather experience the world instead of having, in this world that I'm writing, have a collective memory. Because if you've seen 2049 Blade Runner, Stelline is a weaver of memories for Kay, Ryan Gosling's character. She makes memories. She basically implanted memories into Kay to bring Deckard, her father, Harrison Ford, to her. Dope ass movie. So that's where the bridge into this concept. But the thing is, it's a reflection of what I'm living through, and so there's a job in the realm of this high tech continuity. It's in the future, 2099. There's like a task force. They're called bridge walkers, and they're the ones who occasionally have to bridge walk to the naturalist. They go to the world of pure experience. To them, it's foreign as fuck. And our main character crashes on their ship and gets stuck there for 2 weeks. And that's where he learns that the natural world is right, and then the naturalists get to experience him and realize they were wrong about all of those in the continuity. In the end, you find out everyone's perspective is right, and that's kind of the point right now, because we need some kind of tool to help people understand we're all pretty much right, but we're not focusing on who is the bad guy or the bad force or the team that we need to really divide from, because we're dividing from each other. So anyway, I like saying it out loud because I haven't, but I've written it. I haven't written it, but you know what I mean. Uh, it's so interesting how the current day, this is how Star Wars is made. The frustrations of the world happening. That's how Lord of the Rings was made. Let's see. I might have something interesting to show us. Let me pull up my roll. And then I kind of want to watch a few at the beginning of the Tartarian Empire too. That's one of the movies I've made. Yes. Yeah, let's watch that. So my work for today is I'm exporting this film into 5 languages. And what that means is with AI, with AI, it dubs my voice. It takes my sound and makes me talk in Japanese over the movie. Like probably in 4 minutes, it'll do that. And so I'm going to do Portuguese. I know a Japanese truther, and she's hot. All Japanese are hot. But I see that she's studying the same thing. She's showing how the Rothschilds infiltrated Japan. Ugh. This is why, like, when you start seeing the web of power, the idea that there's a military white hat force fades from me, because after so many years of them building and creating the world we live in, there is just no sense in logic for me to believe that just all of a sudden the people are getting the power back. With right around the corner, we see Palantir and the AI mafia kind of infiltrating with the government. We do see a little war going on. Like, for example, someone asked earlier about Trump's what they call slush fund, the like $1.176 billion. That got denied. So like there are things that he's trying to do that aren't going through. And I think what was the other one? The 100K visa cost, I think it was, denied. So it is fucking weird. It sucks, dude. That's one thing I gotta say. It sucks when you step up to the plate and let yourself get hit by that fucking betrayal. He's pitching. It's 2024. And that ball's slowly fucking coming right at your face. And you're like, oh no. It sucks. It hurts. And that's one thing that took a while for me to process. And that's why sometimes I'm a dick about it. Because that's just why. But it doesn't look good. And do I have some beef with influencers who aren't stepping up to the plate? No, because I never thought they were smart enough to fucking even be with it to begin with. If you are that behind right now, you're not paying attention. You're not paying it, and you're in La La Land, and your identity's like attached to it, and maybe your income. I feel like the entire Trump family got swapped. And I'm not alone in that thinking. Who backs me? All I can say is Becky Barron. She's this hot UK chick who channels remote views, and her audience would ask her about like celebrities and stuff and situations. What happened on this day in history? And then she'd go and look. Well, she even came on my show. And so she went and saw Trump. She did Trump. He died when remember when all of us were saying if you got COVID, you were locked up or taken to Gitmo. Everyone was like, oh shit, Tom Hanks got COVID. I was behind that one. But then all these other stars, oh, they got COVID. Oh, they're all going to Gitmo. And then Trump got COVID. Does this apply? Are we as this? No? Yeah? We should. Him, Ivanka. I think they all got it. And I think that's when Becky Barron talks about it, that they poisoned him, and then he was on life support, and then they swapped the whole family, because all they're doing right now, if you just pay attention, they're all just trying to make a shitload of money. That's what they're all doing. They're all abusing the system and making a shitload, like billions. Like, what do I mean? I think it was Eric, or both, invested in a 1-year-old business that made these military weapons. And there was no natural bidding process on different companies. The contract just went straight to them. Why? There are companies that have been around for 50 to 100 years that could do that job, and you're giving it to, just so happens, your kid's company, giving them billions, maybe, I don't know, maybe 500 million. I think that's what it was. Ivanka's island. Dude, and that's not just no ordinary island. That used to be military style. There's like 10 miles of bunker down below. They know what they're doing, dude. This is like, there's more than one island. We all know that. But what do we do with all this information? That's the part. We spread awareness, but how do we get on Albania's level of like organizing and saying, hey, enough is enough? Like, what the fuck is this? How about we all just sit down? How about we all just fucking stay at home? And you know what we need is a few fucking billionaires or millionaires who give a fuck for us, who could support people while we all just sat down. We didn't do shit. We didn't use our cars. We didn't buy gas. We didn't do everything on the list. That would be fucking epic. Just don't do shit. They would hate that. Can you imagine? Wouldn't that be something in the history books? The year they did not do shit. The year they didn't do shit. The year the world stood shit. That would be something, huh? I don't want to ever advocate for violence, because that's just going to create a volcano. We don't want that, but it sure seems like we don't even have, it's not our place anymore. It doesn't belong to us. Like, nothing we want do we ever get. In certain countries, their paychecks come back with like percentages and amounts of where their taxes that was taken out of that paycheck were going to. Specifically, here we just have corrupt motherfuckers taking advantage because we're too soft to do shit. Like, they got us. They got us. If any 1776 rebel on the outskirts who was feeling the patriot vibe saw this, he'd be like, yo, wait, that would be a good comedy, actually. And he's the one that starts the revolution because he's so pissed. It's like, what the? Oh, yeah, that's a good comedy. That's a good one. So it's a patriot brought back from time. uh, observes the modern day world, and out of just rage, maybe he gets a week here and he's like, yo, like, of course he's not gonna talk like that, but he's gonna be so shocked. And it's, all of a sudden he's gonna be on the fucking TV doing some shit, you know? It's like Encino Man, but with politics. It'd be a stupid stoner like comedy. No, it's a crazy fucking world. We couldn't even do a week of no Amazon. They got us right where they wanted us. You know, some places are doing the smart thing. I just read that Canada, I think it's Canada, they're making it law that can't have social media under 16 years old. That's fucking tight. No, I'm not a quitter. No. I just, right now, facts, what I see, can't override fantasy anymore. The weight of reality can't override a sense of something that I haven't seen any proof of for the last 10 years, and like the goalpost just keeps moving. That's basically it. That's not called quitting. That's actually coming to terms. And you know what I think it's called? Having courage. Because a lot of my audience that pays for my livelihood does not believe in the way I think. And I still came out and I said it. Yeah, that's fucking brave. That's not quitting. I'd say that's fucking winning in the face of authenticity, because I wanted to continue going live. I love going live. I needed it. I think I'm gonna sneeze. Come on. Oh no. Camera's messed up. Why? All right, bet. Ah.
The unsinkable.
It was made by Epstein. I already proved it. So I want to make it part 3. I think I want to do that like ASAP. I want to like wrap up Greatest Showrunners 4 and 5. I'm telling you, 3 is fun. You're just watching. This is Titanium Empire part 2.
How did a takeover of an empire manage to get swept away entirely from history books? When the Romanovs took over Tartaria and migrated to America, how were they able to create a society that never knew of Tartaria's existence? In order to understand, it's key for us to explore the remnants of power in regard to politics, our origins, and technology. After all, those who are in power politically control the technological power and the historical data that is given to society. In part 1 of our series, we learned that the Romanov dynasty eliminated what was left of Tartaria and conquered much of the Tartarian Empire, including what we know as the US. They not only destroyed almost all Tartarian structures, but the ones they kept were taken over and made into pillars of their newfound empire, the New World Order. This is evident in many Tartarian structures that are now federal courthouses, prisons, libraries, museums, post offices, churches, and federal parks. As we explore the magnitude of this massive takeover, we'll examine the enormous cover-up of technological advancements that had once fueled the Tartarian civilization, and we'll dig even deeper into the origins of America, exposing what might be the biggest cover-up of our time, that Rome, Greece, and Egypt originated in America. This is the Tartarian Empire 2, Remnant Power. Reminder, it's important to remember Anatoly Fomenko's research from part 1 of this series, stating that history prior to 800 AD has been fabricated. He writes that our history has been based on actual events that occurred between 1000 to 1500 AD, meaning anything before that was destroyed, leaving us in the dark of our true origin story. The question then becomes, how do we find out the truth of our origins? The answer lies in remnant truths waiting to be discovered by future generations. The truths dared to be explored in this film. We'll start in the 13th century, when the Vatican, under the influence of the Khazarian Mafia, planted its roots in England. This would be one of the most essential steps in creating the Pyramid of Power, the building blocks of a New World Order. In 1213, King John surrendered the Kingdom of England to the Holy See under the Golden Bull. That means the Vatican took power of England. 2 years later, in 1215, under direct papal authority, King John issued the Magna Carta, Latin for the Great Charter, and established the 1 mile square block called the City of London Corporation as a sovereign entity from England and London. Eventually, the Virginia Company was issued by the British royal family from the City of London Corporation for North American settlements. The Virginia Company of London was a joint stock company chartered by King James I to establish a colony in North America. Keep in mind, natives already had a claim to the land, but that wasn't important to King James. This venture allowed the Crown to reap the benefits of colonization: natural resources, new markets for English goods, leverage against the Spanish, all without bearing the cost. Investors, meanwhile, were protected from the catastrophic losses in the event of the project's failure. Remember, this was a risky project. A successful outcome was uncertain. Nevertheless, the company established a settlement at Jamestown, Virginia in 1607. And over the next 18 years, the Crown granted the company 2 new charters, democratizing its governance and reforming its financial model. So what began as an enterprise of investors seeking a dividend was funded a decade later almost exclusively by a public lottery. By 1618, the company had found a way to use its most abundant resource, land, to tempt settlers to pay their own passage from England to the colony, and then, after arrival, to pay the company a fee to use the land. Still, after all this, the Virginia Company and the colony it oversaw struggled to survive. Disease, mismanagement, Indian attacks and factionalism in London all took a toll until in 1623 the Privy Council launched an investigation into the company's finances. A year later, the company's charter was revoked and the Crown assumed direct control of Virginia. Eventually, the Virginia Company was turned into the United States during the Revolutionary War by the Freemasonic Founding Fathers who were serving the Grand Lodge of England. Don't think George Washington was a Freemason? Have a look at his tombstone. We are taught America won the Revolutionary War. But if so, why would the king still be calling the shots? This implies the Founding Fathers of the United States didn't actually free us from the rule of the crown. This brings us to the Treaty of Paris, 1783.
This shit's hitting hard.
The Revolutionary War ended in 1781, and a treaty was signed in 1783. If the United States defeated England, how is the king still granting rights to America's new settlers when they were now equal in status because of winning the war? The treaty is more of a permission slip than a demand to be acknowledged as an independent nation. Why would the famous patriots Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and John Jay sign a treaty when they knew it would void any sovereignty gained by the Declaration of Independence and the winning of the Revolutionary War? If the settlers had truly won the Revolutionary War, it wouldn't be necessary for the king to grant them land. It would have been theirs by the king's loss in the war. For them to dictate the terms of the peace treaty shows their position of strength after winning the war, meaning the Americans never won. Think of other wars the US had won, such as when they defeated Japan. Did MacArthur allow Japan to dictate the terms for surrender? No way. All these men did was gain status and privilege granted by the king, and this ensured the compliance and subjection of future unaware generations. Worst of all, they sold out all those who gave their lives and property for the chance to be free. Furthermore, when Cornwallis surrendered to Washington, he surrendered the battle, but not the war. Jonathan Williams recorded in his book, Legions of Satan, in 1781, that Cornwallis revealed to Washington during his surrender, "A holy war will now begin on America, and when it is ended, America will be supposedly the citadel of freedom, but her millions will unknowingly be loyal subjects to the crown. In less than 200 years, the whole nation will be working for a divine world government. The government they believe to be divine will be the British government." All the treaty did was remove the United States as a liability and obligation of the king, reducing the same liability to the Holy See. The king no longer had to ship material and money to support his subjects and colonies. In this right, they had become independent, but not free. They were given liberty and not freedom. At the same time, the crown retained financial control through debt owed after the treaty, which in fact is still being created today. Millions of dollars a day, and his heirs and successors and the Vatican are still reaping the benefit of the king's original venture. The following quote from Title 26 shows just one situation where the king is still collecting a tax from those that receive a benefit from him on property which is purchased with the money the king supplies at almost the same percentage. Title 26, U.S. Code, Section 1491, Imposition of Tax. There is hereby imposed on the transfer of property by a citizen or resident of the United States, or by a domestic corporation or partnership, or by an estate or trust which is not a foreign estate or trust to a foreign corporation as paid in surplus or as a contribution to capital, or to a foreign estate or trust, or to a foreign partnership, an excise tax equal to 35% of the excess of 1. The fair market value of the property so transferred over, 2. The sum of A. The adjusted basis for determining gain of such property in the hands of the transferor, plus B. The amount of the gain recognized to the transferor at the time of the transfer. The British Corporation, or the City of London, would face opposition in their attempts to force federal law upon the people of the United States of America. The Constitution and Declaration of Independence was written to protect the sovereign rights of its people by defining the boundaries of federal reach from the Crown. But it appears the Crown willingly allowed for their independence, not by losing the war, but by winning it, and strategically benefited every step of the way. How could they get away with all this control? They were protected by their law of commerce, or law of the water, which the U.S. was officially under by 1868, enslaving people from birth through citizenship, a form of trickery used in law that surrendered a woman or man to the title of person, serving under office, which surrendered their sovereignty to the state, all in exchange for federal benefits, tricking them into a contract, thereby linking a real person into a business entity, ridding them of rule by law of the land, and allowing for them to commit to being controlled by maritime admiralty law, or the law of the water. To better understand the law of the water and how the Vatican used its commerce to control the world, here's the brilliant Jordan Maxwell explaining the concept of maritime admiralty banking law.
Yo, that's cool. Your boy made that. When did I make that? Into 2023, 24, 23, 24, 24. 2 years later. What's up, bro? Oh, cool. You want to play in a show? You want to come on here or I go on there? Or both? You remember $2 bills? Those are so cool. I used to keep one around. $2 bill, yo. All right. So, what are we watching? We're watching the Tartarian Empire 2 Remnant Power. It's quite a history lesson. But it's gonna. That's kind of how I like to do it. I like to bring you up to speed through the long journey of the past. And that's kind of what this new movie is. It's a very visual representation of my style. It's crazy. It's cool. It's weird. Either both is okay. Cool. Do you email me? Do you do that? Do you know my email? Nick at goodlion.tv. Email me. Here. No, actually, I just want to share the new movie, but sorry, not gonna. I was gonna maybe at least show the beginning. Oh yeah, of course. I have before. Oh god. Okay, this is why. I'm gonna show you guys. And we in the beginning, I want you to realize that if you want to be a producer on this still, you can. If you want your name in the front of this movie and have unlimited bragging rights for centuries with all your friends, you could say I'm listed on Nick's film. It is our film. You could say that. You could do whatever the fuck you want because your name's on there. But this is what I've always done, and they come with a pricing tier. So there's co-producer $250, producer $500, executive producer $1,000, and we've had a few for each, and I'm still open for more. So you can email me at nick@goodlion.tv, like that. If you want that, you don't necessarily have to, but it's usually how I build good relationships with producers. Yeah, this is cool. It's cool. It's what I do. All right, we're gonna look at it from a different lens, almost like school. It's not funny. I've got school. There's a prank of a girl who, when she's asleep, her brother draws glasses on her with permanent marker. And when she wakes up, she's probably like, I don't know, 10. She's like, it's not funny. It's not funny. I've got to school. You ever see that? It's some girl dad stuff. It's not funny. I've got school. All right, read. Where I want to go full screen for you. So, nope.
Leaving just a memory. A snapshot in the family album. Daddy, what else did you leave for me? Daddy, what you leave behind for me? All it was just a brick in the wall.
(1815), the Battle of Waterloo. Europe celebrated Napoleon's defeat, but Nathan Rothschild already knew. His couriers reached him a full day before the British government. In that window, he bought Britain's entire debt for pennies. 3 years later, the 5 Rothschild brothers controlled the bond markets of Europe. At the far end of the earth, on a frozen island, one of the most powerful families in history built something that still controls the world today. And for 2 centuries, governments have made sure no one ever gets close enough to see it. That same year, a British expedition charts a remote island off Antarctica and names it Rothschild Island. Not as an honor, but as a marker. Because while the world saw bankers, the Rothschilds were building the ultimate vault, beyond the reach of kings, armies, or governments. They quietly moved massive amounts of
Cool, huh? You have Discord and Telegram or email? Email me, yeah? That's better. Nick at goodlion.tv. If you don't have a free membership, you should go get one, because then you can, if you get a free month, you can watch it. We can all hang out. You can be there with all of us. Get a ticket. If you want to support it, throw down 20 bones. 20 bones. It actually gets you 2 tickets, because then you get to watch the next one, which means you come to this. You come to this. You get to come to this exclusive, where everyone who's bought a ticket is going to be participating. I don't know if they're all going to be chatting, but they're going to be the ones with the link. So it's VIP. If you want to be there or be square, see if I care. I do. Um, broke shouldn't be an excuse. That's never a thing for. I'll still hook it up. I give people free memberships all the time. Only the people who don't understand get really upset. But I've always been a business person, a businessman. But when I was a kid, I was a business kid man. I was a businessman kid because I saw people make money, and I was like, I can do that. I think I was 7. I started copying how one of my neighbors was selling candy bars out of their window. I was like, Mom, candy bars, and I started doing it. And so it might not always be this way, but it might grow into different venues where I teach or whatever, or work on bigger projects, or like, who knows? But to be here, it's fucking wild, dude. Wild. So wild. Oh, yeah. Tap the link. You mean to Good Lion or to my email? Good Lion TV. Used to sell weed. Remember smoking weed in middle school? That was fun. Dude, I think I talk so much sometimes that I lose my voice for a couple days. Let's see what else happens in this movie, huh? And not the one that you gotta wait for that one.
You've heard the term law of the land. But in point of fact, that's precisely what this word means,
Me
law
too.
of the land, because it is the people who live on land. And that is opposed to something else called the law of the high seas or the law of water. You need to understand the difference. The law of the land is the law of the culture that lives on the land. And so consequently, the law of the land is different in every country. You can do things in America you can't do in Russia. You can do things in Africa you can't do in England. So the law of the land is the law of the culture that lives on that particular land. However, there is a higher law that dominates the entire world. It's called the law of the water, or the law of the high seas. The law of water is referred to as the law of money. It doesn't matter what color you are, where you're from, or where you live. Money is money. And anytime you're doing banking or using money, you are now under the law of water, maritime admiralty. If you go back in history, in ancient history, where all of this began, back in the land of Canaan, and you probably have heard in the Bible, the land of Canaan. The Canaanites were Phoenician bloodline. And in the ancient Phoenician language, Cana meant merchant banker. The very word merchant comes from mer, M-E-R, for the sea, for water. As a mermaid, we have merchant. Merchant bankers. Let me give an example of the difference between the law of water and the law of the land. The law of water, as I said, is a law of banking, money, as opposed to the law of the custom of the people or the law of the land. The Statue of Liberty must be put in water. It could not be put on American land as such. It had to be put in the harbor because it's not the Statue of Freedom. It's a Statue of Liberty. Liberty is what a sailor gets when he pulls into port on a ship. He gets liberty. He's not free. So America is not the land of the free and the home of the brave. We're not free or brave, period. We're not free. This is not a free country. Now let me give you an example of how this law of the water works. Why is it that you have to go to court? People are always concerned about going to court. You go to court because you play basketball and tennis on a court. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Why? So that's what it is. It's a racket. And make no mistake, they do not pick words by chance. These words are very serious. They do not use words in terms with no avail. These words are very important. When you go into a court, what's the idea of going to court? It's a game like basketball. The whole idea in a court is to put the ball back in the other guy's court. One team gets up and they throw the ball over to that team of lawyers. That team gets up and throws the ball back into their court. And consequently, it's a ball game. And the judge is wearing a black robe, so he is the referee. The judge is the referee. He doesn't care which side wins or loses because he's going to get paid anyway. So he couldn't care less. He's merely there as a referee, and that's why he wears a black robe.
Mm.
And that's another interesting subject we can get into later. But the judge is a referee between two teams. The judge, that we are told, rules from the bench. The word bench in Latin is a bank. Therefore, the judge rules for the bank. Where do you find banks? You find banks on both sides of a river. They're called river banks. And what does a river bank do? It directs the flow of the current sea. The juice. Consequently, your money is currency because it's the flow, the cash flow. And I'll give you an example of how this works. When a ship pulls into a harbor, all ships are referred to as female. Airships, rocket ships, sailing ships are always female. Why? There's a very good reason. Maritime Admiralty banking law says all ships are female because they're carrying items. They're carrying items for money, and so consequently they are under Maritime Admiralty law. Admiralty is where we get the word admiral, admiral of the Navy. Let me give you an example of how this works. When a ship pulls into harbor, it parks at the dock, and it ties off at the dock. The captain has to provide for the port authorities a certificate of manifest, because yesterday the ship was not here, but this morning the ship pulled in, so it has manifested. So consequently, all the products, the $800 million worth of TVs or Toyotas, have manifested. So each one of those items coming off of that ship has come off of water, and each end they has come in a ship, and consequently on a ship, all ships have a captain. The word captain comes from a Latin word capital, money. So the captain represents the money that's on board the ship. And as I said, the captain has to present to the port authorities a certificate of manifest for each and every item. How much does it weigh? What color is it? How many doors does it have? Etc. And consequently, the captain presents a certificate of manifest. The ship is sitting in its berth. Wherever a ship sits when it docks is called its berth. She sits in her berth, berthing a ship. Consequently, all the items, as I said, coming off that ship represent money. They came in on water. They're a Maritime Admiralty product. And this is true all over the world. Now, when you were born, your mother's water broke. And when your mother's water broke, you came out. And this is why you have to have a birth certificate, because you are a Maritime Admiralty product under international law. You are considered, your body is considered a Maritime Admiralty product. Your mother delivered you. This is why if you go to Sears and buy a refrigerator, they will ship it to you. They will deliver it. That's why you were in your delivery room. Your mother was delivering a product. Maritime Admiralty. You came down your mother's birth canal. And once you, and as you're taking one of the televisions or the cars off the ship and it falls down and breaks, that's all right. Sometimes they're stillborn, so consequently you've lost money on that one. Therefore, you have to have a death certificate, and it's always signed by the doc. The doc has to sign your birth certificate and your death certificate. All of these words and terms are maritime admiralty banking words. And therefore, if you understand lawyers and judges and courts and government are all under international maritime admiralty law. All religions, all churches in the world operate under maritime law. This is why all churches are divided into denominations like 20s and 50s and 100s. Serious. This is why they're called denominations, because all churches are nothing more than the product of maritime admiralty banking. It's an extraordinary story of occult treason, high treason, and crimes against the state. Make no mistake about it. There has never been a country on the face of the earth as far back into history as you can go. There has never existed a country in which the people rose up and demanded their right to be free. Never. The concept of human, spiritual, intellectual, and physical freedom is a totally concept that has never, ever existed on the earth. The only time that has ever come into existence was the founding of this country, where it was understood that we were sovereigns and we owned our bodies, and consequently, since 1868, we're now on the International Maritime Admiralty Law.
Damn.
It would take just 100 years from the signing of the peace treaty for the Crown to implement control of the American people. They did so by tricking the sovereign into submitting to a maritime admiralty law in exchange for goods and services provided by the Crown. 1865. The 13th Amendment made it so people could volunteer into slavery by accepting federal benefits. In 1868, a privately owned foreign British corporation called the United States was created and incorporated in Delaware. Also in 1868, the 14th Amendment defined two new legal entities. One, a citizen of the United States, and two, a person, both subject to the federal government jurisdiction as agents or officers and or employees of the government. It is then stated that no state could infringe or deprive any U.S. citizen or person of their privileges and immunities as U.S. citizens. Of great importance was the use of the terms privileges and immunities as opposed to rights. As persons or citizens, that is, agents or employees of the private foreign United States corporation, they had no rights within that corporation. They possessed only privileges granted to them by that private foreign corporation called the United States. In 1871, the Organic Act was passed and was titled An Act to Provide a Government for the District of Columbia. Congress, illegally acting on its own behalf, created a separate form of government for the District of Columbia. Congress, realizing that our country was in severe financial difficulty, cut a deal with the international bankers, in the process incurring more debt to those bankers. In 1874, the Internal Revenue Code was created and is the body of law that codifies all federal tax laws, including income, estate, gift, excise, alcohol, tobacco, and employment taxes. And lastly, the Vatican and the Holy See would become officialized by becoming sovereign in 1929. Now, the New World Order had its three power centers: Washington, D.C., the City of London, and the Holy See of the Vatican. Is it starting to make sense how the British Virginia Company venture had failed, was then taken up by the Crown, and then created the foundation of Washington, D.C. in the same way the Pope acquired the city of London from England, in turn manipulating their laws, rendering them both into money-making machines, enslaving the people of both England and eventually the people of the United States. Now that you're aware how power was taken politically, it's important to see the historical origins that this political power had covered up.
Juicy. Do you like it? Are you in? Are you invested? Go get a free membership. What are you doing? Use the promo free caps, all in caps, no cap. No, I mean in caps, but the deal is no cap for real. So all cap letters free. We're gonna keep going. I just wanted to talk a little because it's getting a little lonely. Are you guys lonely? What's the pulse like out there? Are you guys how many people out there have a thriving social life right now? On the real, of the 187, oh, that's a scary number, dog. No, I don't even think that's the full, because there's 133 there, and then on Twitter there's 139. So it doesn't really. There's more. Anyway, what do you mean you're in? Where's the link? What are you talking about? Link to catch you up to speed. Anyway, I make movies. This is what I do. If you have any cool ideas, I make music videos for people. Some people contract me to make their music videos. If that's something you're interested in, I do that on the side for fun. And oh yeah. The Film Academy, the first one I've ever done, is very close to going live on goodlion.tv. It'll be live, I think, within the next 24 hours. And what's up, Corey? And then after that means you get 8 or 9 episodes on the basics of how I make films. And the film that I'm working on in the training, so there's 20 people in the course, so you're going to see like other people in there. Maybe I can figure out a way to protect their faces. I might have to do that first. Actually, no, they were okay with it. I remember they're okay. So anyway, and I'm going to do an AI cinema lab. I'm going to show you guys how to do what I'm doing now. And inevitably, your fingerprint's going to take over and you're going to have your own style. But I think I could show you a good blueprint on how to not only get you equipped with how to make a film or a short film, but how to make a business out of it. Because if you're good at it and you make people's heads turn, you can just for a living. People will believe in you if you believe in yourself and if you make something good. And that's really what it is. If you make something good. And really, I think that what makes a very good editor is paying attention to all details. And you won't really know what those details are to pay attention to until someone shows you. You might naturally know, like some people naturally have rhythm. It's kind of like that. Oh, fuck yeah, Tinted Bit. I give out free memberships, guys. I really do, all the time. Social life, what is it, the 90s? Yo, that's fucking funny. Because it's true, man. Nah, dude. I mean, I knew somebody who would go play like games with their friends or some shit, but I don't know, dude. No. I could never narrate. I speak and all you hear is cornbread. But you know what? Yo, what's up, Tony? For those who say I could never narrate, you know what you can do? I'll give you permission to use my voice. How about that? Which means I'm probably going to make sure the script is okay. But like in the course, you can use my voice. So that shouldn't stop you. And there's tools to do everything that I do to where you are almost just like Mickey Mouse and Fantasia and you're just fucking creating with patience and repetition, consistency, and every now and then you get strong dopamine hits when things work out. It's really cool. That's the new way of creating for the AI world. I just don't know where the world's headed, man. I feel like I'm so confused. Are we bombing? Who's bombing who today? And like, who broke a ceasefire today? Are you guys doing this on purpose? Are we all supposed to be very confused? Because I am. I feel like I'm very confused. I have zero idea what's going on. I think they want it that way. Oh, cool. You got a free membership too. And if you want a free membership, hit me up. Email me, nick@goodlion.tv. Sign up for a free membership. But then when you email me, I can, from behind the scenes, elevate your membership so you get access to all channels. Electrolytes. Marley, I did feel it getting hot in here before you showed up. You bring the heat, girl. She brings the heat. What's up, Immortal? We're just watching a little bit of my movies, teasing about the new ones, showing little clips. My new movie comes out next week. It's I love it, actually. That's all I'll say. And the part 2 of it's coming out August 24th. So it's 6 weeks from now. And what's really cool is I just evolved with the tools I use. And now I was able to like fuck with Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein. I was like, I can do this. I get that much freedom. You can't do video AI in a lot of services with modern day war. They don't want you like creating something that could be mistaken as real and circulating on the internet. I think that's why. But they let you reenact old days of war with horses and tanks back then. No. I've been all over the place with the health stuff. I've been Kangen. All I do is just these plastic bottles. I'm not worried. I'm a sauna every day guy. If anything, I got it in a vibrating plate. I don't know, man. I like to bring this up because I'm starting to see on podcasts now. They're talking about it. Some other people have been talking about this for a minute, but it was Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein who created Q. And anyone who's really into Q, you're gonna have to test yourself right now, because your first instinct is gonna be like, "Fuck that. That is bullshit. That's not true." But it might be. How would you know if you weren't so attached to one stream of thinking? How would you know if you don't allow yourself to detach and survey the possible evidence? That's being egoless. At least being able to let go. That's open-mindedness. And so when you see the dots that connect, man, then you go, fuck. You're like, how did they do it? And I think they chose a very similar framework to religion. Yeah, because you got people really die hard in there. They knew what they were doing. We've been just watching for like 10 years. And that's a very dangerous place to be in now, because I think you're gonna have the biggest shocker when things look when things are really when things are really in your face about it. I don't think you're gonna be able to lie to yourself then. And those who are thinking about it now as a just in case, as like, let me be smart about it, they're ahead. For example, I could say this: the Q movement for me still lives if Donald Trump goes down with it all and he is the mega spotlight on himself to show everyone this is what corrupt politicians do. We need a new system. But that's not even what the plan's all about, because whatever comes next is out of our control. We'd have to get control first. There's nobody really looking out for the small man, because the whole thing has been infested when the whole thing has been infested with corrupt politicians and congressmen and women, then the scum of the earth find a way to go get their piece of that pie. And it's starting to show, and it might just be the Trump cloned family, because they're all totally not the same. This whole family 2.0 is doing weird Israeli type behavior like stuff, like getting islands and benefiting billions in their pocket. It's so corrupt. It is so corrupt. Most people don't know that. It is so juicy. Christopher Poole is the CEO of 4chan, or was back in that time, and Bill Gates' lawyer or something was like, yo, Epstein, emails, you can see them now. You got to meet this guy, Christopher Poole, CEO, young kid, brilliant. And then so Epstein drives him home. They arranged a drive home session, I guess. I don't know how, but and Epstein was like, he's a great kid. He's gonna be one of the best hackers. And you can see the thread I have on on X is growing, where people are adding their perspective of the truth too. And someone put the Wikipedia date for when the Forum for Politics opened up on 4chan, and it was the day after Epstein drove him home. Epstein and Bannon. Epstein is known for being on 4chan, loving 4chan. Epstein is known for being and loving 4chan before he even met Christopher Poole. He knew that the political forum, I think, was removed, and he's like, can you launch it again? And that is where Q was born, in that political forum. It does not get, you know what Q would say? Q would say, what is it, coincidence? What would Q say? He would say something like, these coincidences are finish it for me because I haven't been brushed. Something similar like that. There are no coincidences. I guess it's that simple. There really aren't. And it's really getting to be obvious. But people think that the Epstein files are a Democratic hoax. And that's where I think the disconnect from reality is, for me, observing them, thinking like, whoa. We've been fighting for this thing for like 6 years. We've been dying for the files, guys, the lists. And now that they're out, there's a sect of y'all who aren't even looking. That means you guys were here as a fucking sports team fanatic. You didn't give a fuck about what was really going on. You just wanted to win. That's what happened. That's the politically egoic type behavior of maybe everyone who gets into politics, because they're too fucking retarded to realize like the weight of these decisions. Now most people don't even just do anything. They just share, talk about it. But when do we start doing stuff? Like when do we start doing stuff? Because nothing is fucking working. It worked. Everyone thought that's a brilliant plan. They're like, all right, look, Agenda 2030, we really need this to go through. Like, yeah. Well, how do we stop them from catching on? Someone's like, you know what? Yes. Have them believe there's a force on their side doing the work for them so they don't have to. And they're like, oh yeah, that's genius. And then it plays out, and some people are like, wait, if we cryptically release posts with some government intel, we can sway their opinion, almost like we did with the Bolsheviks. And they're like, yes. And they're like, but all these posts, it's very symbolic to biblical posts. People will reference them in numbers. And all these decoders and professors of these posts will come out and they'll have their own interpretation of calms and deltas, and no one will really ever know what these mean, but we could spread ideas through the popular forums where people discuss them. Yes, yes. This is genius. And they know who they were targeting. Trump all of a sudden was Democrat, but now goes Republican to run, which he already told everybody that's what he would do, because he understands there's a mentality of extremism with people who are really diehard Christian on religion. That's what happens. You get extremists without knowing it. Some are calm about it, but they chose the right side to emulate that devotion to an external fact, a factor that was going to save you. That's why Trump became Trump, man. And then I'm out there and I'm like, yo, I'm a bridge walker. I'm a literal bridge walker. I've gone to the natural world. I've gone to worlds where other people don't want to experience. The experience of the natural world. What is it like when you're not being bombarded by echo chamber mentality? People telling you what to think. Groupthink. You go into X, you're in a chamber. You go into Instagram, chamber. Every new algorithm click is a new chamber. And there are many chambers that you have. You have a bunch of chambers. The camera automatically does it. I don't do it. And so your chamber really determines your train of thought. Look how this thing zooms in like that. I saw it, dude. Yeah, that's where it becomes interesting. A lot of people are holding on to hope, but they're not being smart about it. And I don't mean to offend any women, but that's a woman trait. That's a woman trait, because you're emotional. You're more emotional. And so, like, the truth is, even if you don't want to believe that this is the situation, you should entertain it to prepare for it and learn to detach ego from the outcome. For example, like I said, if there is a military operation to give power back to the people, who the fuck's gonna be the voice of the people? Who's gonna like make decisions for the people? Are we all of a sudden gonna get organized and have an election for a person? Don't we do that already as presidents? Like, haven't we already elected that person? And a lot of people don't really want this person in there. Yeah, actually, he looks like he's expiring. I think the clone is dying. I share videos of him farting amongst the public, and people are like, "You're so immature." I'm like, "But this is real. This is not AI." But people today really are in their own. They're in their groove. The people who just like don't distract me with facts, bro. I've already made up my mind. I'm living in peace now, bruh. And some people are like, but look, like it no. So what do people value most? That's really what it comes down to. And then you really got to understand there's different species of people in different species. Like, every single one has its categories. We're all similar in many ways, but one thing we all split up. Some of us don't give a fuck about peace when it comes to truth. You want to know the extreme version of that is people who can stomach watching death videos, which if you use X enough and you run into it, and it's weird to watch somebody fucking die, like, but there's a level of truth to it because it's fucking death. You've never seen anyone die, but you're like, holy fuck, I kind of want to see it, kind of don't. And if it looks like it's going to be really like graphic, sometimes I just go forward and I'm just like, oh man, like I'll let myself. Why? Because I want to know that truth. I want to see what that's like and understand I'm putting my peace at risk. Oh, dude, on X, galore, bro, galore. I'm like, dude, why? Here we go. And Milo or Aaron, I've never seen these white hats. I know, dude. And there's people now that what's fucked up is like, I'm not on here saying fuck you. Like, I'm not on here going like, fuck you, Q-tards. But there are people who come at me with that energy. if I don't agree with them. And they're just Agent Smiths. I have some very unpopular opinions lately. I don't want to go into one of them because I know everyone in here to be like, I just no. Look, I'll just say it. I don't care what you guys have to say about it. Maybe we'll talk about it, but you got to be careful about the tricksters. They're charming. All right. Epstein was charming. What do you mean, DK conspiracy? Channel. What's up, Taylor? They say Epstein was charming as fuck. They say Bill Clinton, of course, you know that, and even Trump. All right, now we know what we know about the music industry. We know it is basically Satan's realm. Are you telling me that the arguably, not even arguably, the king of pop, the master of the realm of music, was not embedded with any satanic qualities? You think someone can get that high up there without any kind of brushing with darkness? Dude, Milo. I still don't know what that me or my is, bro. It's not my, it's me. It's me, because my would be a Y. But look, man, I put the films on Telegram. Leaving Neverland, you can't even watch it on any streaming platform right now because the estate sued the creator of this movie because they found a loophole. There was like a 1990 HBO film that said they wouldn't do anything contrary, and then so they took it off. But that fucking movie will make you go, duh. You'll just go, duh. And there might have been a time in his life where it wasn't like that. But I can bet he was molested growing up, 100%. And I think he just repeated it. And a lot of people hate when you go against that. But when you detach emotion and you go, very lonely, extremely rich, built a Disneyland at his house with Ferris wheels and fucking tigers, a kid's dream, mobs around with little boys, specifically one at a time, like it's his girlfriend. Like you would see Leonardo with a 17-year-old girlfriend at events, him and the little kid, the fuck. And then they're sleeping in the same bedroom. Doesn't matter how big it is. The parents, oftentimes on hotel trips, the more and more like hotel trips they'd have, and the kids would stay in the hotel with Michael. These are hotels now. The parents would get moved further. And they'd be like, what the fuck? Yo, I love you, Magatini. People hate when I go there, bro. What's my Telegram name? Totally let go. Oh, dude, everyone let go of Telegram. All the numbers on there. I just let whoever's there know whenever I'm live, and I give updates for my films on there. But I don't chit chat in there. Good Lion Films, that's the news one, and then Good Lion Den is the chat. And I think if you're good at like compartmentalizing, you can understand like, okay, I like the music still. Like I can still listen to Paul McCartney, but there's like a bubble, you know, like I don't Milo. Have you seen that Egyptian bust of Michael Jackson? It's sad. It is kind of fucking. It was a little heartbreaking to go. Fuck, like it's everywhere. 2 kids came out and told their version of the truth, and it's pretty detailed. It's actually very detailed. From the very young age are they scooped up, and they spend like 10 years with them. They're not fucking fishing for money. No one comes out and ruins their own reputation this way, ever. And the way they talk and the way you hear them and you see them, you're like, fuck. And then I think they got to the director of this movie because now there's a part 2 of Leaving Neverland. And I started watching it and I was like, oh my God, it's like their apology version. Like someone said, you set the record straight. It's literally what it's like. I was like, yo, oh my God. And the quality's shittier. It's the same director, but it seems like he doesn't have the right gear behind him because HBO wasn't behind him on this one. So it doesn't feel professional. The gear that they had on the first one, coincidentally, is all the same gear and cameras and lighting that was in 4 Hours at the Capitol. They also made that movie. That's the movie I'm in the middle of the movie. They put me on there for the Doobie Smoker story. Yeah. Let me see. My app for the Apple Store is in review. I did updates and I found what was stuck. And so I don't know if it's available on there yet. But I did put it in for review not long ago. Oh fuck yeah. It's back on, son. Sick, dude. Yeah, you can get the app on in the Apple App Store. Hey, what's going on here? Do you need to load again or something? Oh, I think I need what's up with my Wi-Fi? Thanks for hanging, guys. Let's listen to a song. Loving Neverland? Is it gonna tell me that he's not guilty? Cool. Very cool. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Tartarian Empire 2.
The Holy See uses Latin for official documents, and the Vatican uses Latin as its official language. Novus Ordo Seclorum is Latin and translates to New Order of the Ages and is on the United States Great Seal and the US dollar bill. Can it get any more obvious than that? Now ponder this. Washington, D.C. is located in both Virginia and Maryland. That is, Virgin Maryland. Also note that stated in the Catholic Encyclopedia in 1669, D.C. was originally called Rome. Some may believe ancient Rome was in America, since Rome, Maryland, which is Washington, D.C., was the first Vatican city. A branch of the Potomac River was called Tiber Creek, which was named after the Tiber River in Rome. Like Rome, Washington, D.C. has 7 hills, whose names are Capitol Hill, Meridian Hill, Floral, Forest, Hillbrook, Hillcrest, and Knox Hill. Washington, D.C. is filled with Roman architecture and has the Roman fasces symbol all over U.S. federal buildings, with Capitol Hill being named after Capitoline Hill from Rome. Washington, D.C.'s origins are becoming more obvious. All this implies the federal government of the United States is based upon the principles of the Roman Republic, which was a fascist empire, and fascism means a centralization of power. The word fascist comes from the Roman fasces, which is a bundle of rods with a projecting axe blade carried by a Roman officer, also known as a lictor, or an executor, which was a symbol of a magistrate's power and used as an emblem of authority as well as a beating tool for punishment toward anyone who disagreed with Roman laws. Lastly, the logo's column symbolizes the political support that maintains their claim to governmental land ownership. Symbols and architecture are remnant clues to our true history. Since the Moors were the Tartarians, according to the Gothic architecture all over the world, but mainly in the Americas, this means that modern-day Europeans did not build any of these Greco-Roman Gothic structures in Old World America. because a previous advanced American civilization called Moors and Berber Indians civilized the ancient world. Keep in mind that the construction of New York skyscrapers, such as the Empire State Building, the Chrysler Tower, and bridges of the New York and New England area, were prominently built by male members of the Mohawk Indian tribe, and they were nicknamed Skywalkers, as they would work hundreds and thousands of feet in the sky without harnesses. More evidence that points to Rome's influence in America comes from Rome, Georgia, and the Cherokee Indians, who were known to call themselves Romans. Remember in History Unraveled, America was shown to be inhabited by native Mongol Tartarians, who were the Native American tribes we've learned of in school, but contrary to what we were taught, the majority of these tribes were black. And the slave trade fabrication hid the fact that the Moor civilization was in America prior to the African slave ships that brought them. This was done to hide the truth of the mass American genocide. And the Cherokee Indians were one of the native Tartarian tribes. Oddly, the Cherokee called their land Rome. To add to that, it is said to their dying breath, the Cherokee natives of that time called themselves Romans. Contrary to public school teachings, the Cherokee were living in Western-style houses. In fact, they were living inside of antebellum mansions before settlers turned them into plantations. Eventually, the Cherokee were expelled from their land and lost their property in the 1830s. This happened during the Forced Trail of Tears. It took hundreds of years to do it, but the power-hungry colonists eventually took it all over. In the following 50 years, we'd see America fully become corporatized. So, which Rome came first? Could it be that Rome was here first, and everything afterward was built in Italy? Did they rewrite history to make us think otherwise? This theory is up for debate, but there is evidence that points to ancient Greece and ancient Rome having their roots in America. For starters, much can be learned by studying their money, their coins. A comparison between Greek, Roman, and US coins demonstrate that ancient Greece and ancient Rome were in the Americas. These coins are very similar, with the head and the eagle on all of them. The original coin was the head of the virgin goddess Columbia and her eagle, owl, or phoenix. However, the US Mint in 2017 made a gold coin of the original black Greek goddess, or Greek virgin goddess Columbia, with her eagle on it, valued at $100. The Greek virgin goddess Columbia was a black Greek. We can see that in images. Greek is Creek, the Native American tribe. If the Native American tribes were black, it would explain the black Greek or Creek goddess Columbia. Columbia was patterned after the ancient Egyptian goddess Isis. Columbia is also the symbol of America, since she symbolizes liberty, freedom, and justice. Is this why Rome, Maryland eventually became known as Washington, D.C.? D.C. standing for District of Columbia? In addition, we have a comparison between Rome's Pentagon and the US Pentagon that we can consider. As you can see, both Rome, Italy, and Washington have a pentagon, which is the shape of a five-pointed star, which is a symbol of the planet Venus transit and the virgin goddess Columbia. The five-pointed star is a symbol of supreme intelligence, since it also represents the builders, or the five aspects of the mind: thought, will, feeling, memory, and imagination, all of which are needed to bring forth creation. The five-pointed star also symbolizes the human form with its 5 points: arm, leg, arm, head, which is an anagram for Allah, or the All. The Greco-Roman architecture could demonstrate that the Americas was ancient Greece and ancient Rome. When Greece conquered Egypt, the civilizations merged into the Greco-Egyptian civilization. which meant the unification of Greece and Egypt, Greco-Egyptian. When Rome conquered Greco-Egypt, the civilization became known as Greco-Roman, which meant the unification of Greece and Rome, Greco-Roman. Therefore, knowing who the Greeks and Romans are is vital to knowing who are the current ancient Egyptians, or who became the ancient Egyptians after conquest, since Greece and Rome based both of their civilizations off the Egyptian civilization. Therefore, the Creeks and the Cherokee may in fact be the Greeks and the Romans, which means that these two tribes and the lot of Native Americans were the real modern-day Egyptians. Realizing this, it makes sense that they were all killed in the Great American Genocide. They held the secrets. Killing them would kill history. So what does this mean? Was Egypt in America?
Damn, Gina.
Egypt was a global Blackmore civilization, meaning America's old Egypt Tamarai, the land of the Moors, and the land of Mary.
What does that say right there? Americans. These are the Moors. They're black, yo. Our roots are black. The Great American Genocide. There's a book that talks about how, well, we're about to fucking explore it. It's literally about to be spoken of in this film, so I will allow it. What we're doing right now is watching a movie I made called The Tartarian Empire 2, Remnant Power. Part 3 is coming out this year. And I want to say like wintertime, November of this year. A part 3, over an hour, where we really go into the mud floods, because I think there's enough history unraveled. That's the first one. And then the Remnant Power touches on things that we can always expand upon. In this episode, we end up talking about we end up talking about the electricity world, the free energy stuff. But I haven't made a film that does mud floods or the orphan trains, and now I can tie in Antarctica. I can do visuals for it, and maybe you can help. Because I think before that I will be doing the course, and whoever's out there that learns, honestly, I could, I think if I had like 2 people doing what I do, making movies, and we were pumping shit out, you could make a lot of money with me. Like, you know, you can support your livings. I think that could actually really happen if I created multiple me's. And that means just showing you what I do and then letting you do your thing with it. And I hope you never betray me. I've been nice like this in the past, and people betray. Still gonna do it anyway.
Because the ancient Egyptian god Ptah, a pre-dynastic Egyptian deity, also an Atlantean god, is from the Americas. Yes, Ptah, or Judah, is from the Americas, because this territory was Ptah, Utah, Judah land, which covered New Mexico and several states, California, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Texas. For those who find this hard to believe, there is undeniable evidence found within areas of the Grand Canyon that have been kept off limits to the general public, and if it became public knowledge, history would unravel profoundly, and the lies we've been told would too. In a restricted area of the Grand Canyon, which is found in Arizona, there are pyramids and caves full of hieroglyphics and Egyptian relics. Many people don't know about them, as this information has been suppressed by the federal government for about a century. The sky over this area is restricted airspace, and the area surrounding this cave on the ground is illegal and treacherous to navigate. And all official reports about this from the Smithsonian and elsewhere have been censored, modified, nullified, or retracted. This still did not stop people from attempting to visit this part of the canyon. Many have been arrested, and some have died attempting to climb to these sacred sites over the years. It's gotten to the point where the government feels it must have armed FBI agents guarding inside the entrance to the cave that is now known as Kincaid's Cave.
Crazy. This is an hour and a half movie, or an hour and 15 minutes. That's cool. Um, we're just taking bites together. We're just eating it together. We'll keep going. We'll keep going. Just welcome to everybody who just joined. It's 5 o'clock here in Hawaii. So 7 on the West Coast. What does that mean? It's 10 on the East. Cool. Just a little intermission. We can talk real quick. Did you see that there was a Philippines earthquake, and then an earthquake? That one was so big that there's two huge skyscrapers that have a bridge between them, and the bridge snapped. So one of the skyscrapers was just in wobble mode, and also an earthquake out beyond Florida near Cuba. What a coincidence! Are they warming up some harp shit? Like, that's probably what we're gonna see soon. Like, I bet they want the fiasco in the Middle East to wrap up so they could just take over Cuba. 10 p.m. Central, 11 on the East. That's cool. I like that you're hanging out. I like that you're hanging out. I like that we've been hanging out, that we do this. This is what we do. This for a while. Hey, this needs to get out of here. Pardon me. Yeah. Delete that. Okay. Yeah. Let's keep watching.
There were many Egyptian relics that were discovered in Kincaid's Cave, one of which was a pure gold artifact for the Egyptian king named Kian. This was found in the first cross tunnel of the cave, which was in the exact same location as the shrines in the Valley of the King's Tunnel cities, before the kings of ancient Egypt began to build pyramids and above-ground cities. It was found that Kian was a descendant of King Zabneth in Egypt. This cavern is over 500 feet long and has several cross tunnels to large chambers. Archaeologists estimate the man-made cavern is about 3,000 years old. G.E. Kincaid wasn't the only person to discover Egyptian relics at the Grand Canyon. There's also John Wesley Powell. Powell discovered what is now called Powell's Cave. The following is a quote taken directly out of a book that Powell published. In this canyon, great numbers of man-made caves are hollowed out. I first walked down a gorge to the left of a cliff and climbed to a bench on that cliff. There was a trail on the cliff bench that was deeply worn into the rock formation. Where the trail crossed some gulches, some steps had been cut out. I could see no evidence that the trail had been traveled in a long time. I returned to our camp about 3 p.m. and the men had found more Egyptian hieroglyphics on the cliff walls near the cave. We explored the cave and found this shrine and other artifacts. That evening, I sent a team member to notify the Smithsonian Institute of our discovery. We continued to survey the canyon and discovered more Egyptian tunnel cities. I estimate in my report that I think upwards of 50,000 Egyptians had inhabited the Grand Canyon at one time. There was a shrine found at Powell's Cave. This was identified as the shrine for Setiprine. Also found was a diagram for the Egyptian writing system when the ancient Egyptians came to the Grand Canyon. It was a school tablet used for teaching Egyptian children
11:11. Make that wish.
to read and write. There were even crypts, sarcophagi, discovered. What's more to add is that all the monuments in the Grand Canyon are named after Egyptian pharaohs. The famous canyon in Arizona is actually an ancient array of pyramids. The sites even align with the same stars that the pyramids of Giza align with, the constellations of Orion and Pleiades. Remember, there are more pyramids in the Americas than in the entire world. This federal park is one of the many seized and protected sites of evidence that can prove our Egyptian Tartarian ancestry.
Got some reading on the screen going on for those who aren't able to see it. Cyrus Tower, just dude, fucking hey, those are all structures that were all. Dude, what if that's a fucking city? See, a glacier went through. What if that was just the most? Something ain't right, man. Why are they all named that? Why are they? That's not cute.
What's also interesting is the story of King Tartarax, found in Kansas and Nebraska in the 1600s. Tartarax in Nebraska is celebrated every 4th of July during the carnival known as the Carnival of King Tartarax. The story of Tartarax is old. It's come down to us through the legends of the Indians and also the efforts of old Spanish historians. It is said that the ruler of this country was an old man named Tartarax. He was quite wealthy and worshipped the image of a woman and a cross of gold, and he prayed by means of a string of beads. In essence, they're celebrating a Tartarian king in North America from the 1600s. I wonder why we weren't taught about that. Also interesting, in the 1930s, the Tennessee Valley Authority conducted excavations in Tennessee, revealing Egyptian-like structures in mounds. This sparked speculation about an ancient Egyptian presence in America. The excavation photos and reports offered insights into the structure's architecture, with standing stones and interpreted pylons resembling Egyptian temples. Initially labeled as a 1920 construction by John T. Lupton, inspired by Egyptian architecture, they deny its ancient origins. Despite ownership changes from public to private, the temple spent the last 80 years submerged under the water of a Tennessee dam. Consider the potential secrets beneath other dams across America. Watching the water now takes on a new significance. It's important to note Pyramid Lake in Utah and Pyramid Lake in Oregon. And how about the Mississippi River? Could it be mirroring the Nile River? Would that make America the promised land from the Bible? Could there be a Sphinx in Memphis, Tennessee, just like there's one in the Temple of Ptah in Memphis, Egypt? Like Arizona, there seems to be something powerful about Tennessee when it comes to ancient Egyptian relics. In the late 1800s, the US hosted exhibits seemingly temporary, and then they tore down everything afterward, possibly a way to justify removing historical monuments. The Memphis Pyramid exhibit and the adjacent Parthenon, along with Greco-Roman inspired buildings surrounding, exemplify this trend.
I lived there when I made this. I would go hang out there for fun. I lived in front of a star fort. I'll show star forts next. I didn't realize it was a star fort till
Fort Negley, Nashville's Star Fort, is still standing and being renovated.
Is that the one?
Now that we understand our historical origins, it's important to learn what technologies are erased.
Small raid.
Star forts were historically considered for defensive purposes. However, a hidden aspect suggests that Tartarians designed them as vibrational ecosystems for community joy and harmony. Star cities, self-contained environments, embody sacred geometric patterns, symbolizing the cosmos. Key elements defining Tartarian civilization include remains of large lakes, long channels, unique stone bridges, stone streets, and baths. These features utilized water infrastructure to generate a magnetic frequency, fostering an energy euphoria of joy and harmony. The first star forts are said to have been built as early as the beginning of the 1500s, exactly when the Romanovs were setting about conquering vast areas of Tartary. These truths are kept hidden from us so we don't realize our powerful, innate abilities, because when we do, it's game over for the New World Order.
Ooh, shit, dude. Forgot you did that.
This leads us to obelisks. In all, the Egyptians created 28 obelisks, so it would have been a massive undertaking. Most are now fallen, and only 8 remain standing in Egypt today. However, there are also standing Egyptian obelisks in Istanbul, Rome, London, Paris, and New York. It's been suggested that these were stolen from Egypt, but considering that even the lightest obelisk weighed 110 tons, up to a maximum weight of 323 tons, this begs the question, who would go to the trouble of transporting such a heavy object thousands of kilometers just to steal a huge block of stone for decorative purposes? I think it's much more likely that the Egyptians were in the process of setting up a global power distribution network that was either never completed or completed and then destroyed. If the ancient Egyptians had electricity, it would explain why so many ancient carvings seem to depict giant light bulbs. It would also explain why there are no soot marks from flame torches inside the pyramids. They may have had electrical lighting. You see, with this in mind, the dots connect.
Ooh-wee.
The worldwide Tartarian structures, believed to have been built in the 13th century by horse and buggy, were not just aesthetically pleasing, but also served the purpose of energy collection. The Tartarians extracted electromagnetic energy from the ether. Complexes of temples, domes, towers that used copper. The energy was processed and stored in toroidal coils at power plant summits, covered with copper and always positioned below the towers. When Mercury starts rotating inside coils, magnetic fields are formed and create electric charges in the Mercury vortex. In other words, the movement of electrons in metals like copper, when influenced by a magnetic field, generates electricity. Hindu energetic complexes exhibit this function at the top of their structures. Coils can still be seen at the top of the power supply centers in India. These are actual remnants of power. Manufactured history as well as invented religions referred to these structures as temples, but were actually power supply centers. Examples include the Parmenan Temple complex in Indonesia, the Taj Mahal, the Hagia Sophia, and many cathedrals, temples, and palaces worldwide.
That's not AI, dude.
Wolsey Hall, now part of Yale University, was possibly a former power plant, and its symphonic organ was associated with the resonance of electromagnetic energy.
Sound healing.
This energy was used to heal people and animals of disease. Parmenan complex in Indonesia had originally 240 power stations in a concentric mandala layout. As you begin to observe keenly, the Tartarian architecture for energy extraction can be seen in various structures worldwide. Tartarian energy extraction structures were not limited to just these types of buildings. They extended to pyramids as well. How does a pyramid generate power? Pyramids, like the Great Pyramid of Giza, were built on energy ley lines and utilized specific materials to generate and magnify energy.
Right. But first, I want to say that ever since this came out, there have been updates on what is actually underneath there. What is it, like thermal X-ray, whatever they call it? That kind of ability to scan underneath the ground and get structures. And they've found that there are like insanely long pipes. Like, I don't know, like I can't say. maybe like 5 to 10 under each pyramid, and they go down insanely long, and near the bottom they connect to each other. And people wonder if these pyramids are caps to put above them so we don't use them, or if they're part of the structure and help in whatever fucking way. I have no idea. But it is yeah, email it to me. That's exactly what I was thinking. New Zealand sounds cool though. So anyway, in the next movie that I do for Tartaria, I do want to survey that further, because we're starting to see interesting things like Devil's Tower. They use that technology on Devil's Tower. The massive, what they say is a mountain. That's a tree stump. They saw that there's catacombs underneath, structure inside there. So, what does the next wave of scientific and archaeological discovery look like? What does it look like? This is what it looks like, where old theories literally go bye-bye. Maybe we build upon them, and that's cool. I would like to live long enough to see my daughter and have grandkids, but also to live to see the new discoveries unravel. You know, it's got to be one of the coolest things. There's a movie I saw last night. I couldn't finish it because it's just poorly done. It's a shame because there's so many good actors in it. It's got a mega cast. I think it's from 2012. I think it's called Time. I might be wrong, but it has Justin Timberlake. Shit. Oh, Cillian Murphy, and a few other very well-known hot chicks. And they all have like, instead of having money, you have time. So on your forearm, you have a certain amount of hours, and you can tell that it can equate up to centuries. And you can see where it's up to months, days, years, etc. So, and when it ticks all the way down, you just die. So, and you can give people money or years time by just doing this. So the concept is pretty interesting, because someone who had like thousands of years, which is absurd. If anyone finds out you have that much, you're gonna get killed and robbed, as if you were a billionaire. So you live in the area where all the rich people live. So there's one guy who has nothing, Justin Timberlake, meets a guy who has all that, like thousands of years. Oh, also, you don't age. You stay at your age of like 30, and so like people in the movie are like in their 80s, but they don't look it in time. That's what it's called. And so Justin Timberlake goes to sleep after helping this guy escape some criminals from killing him for his time. And the guy's like, fuck this shit. I'm not going to live this long. Gives Justin Timberlake all of his life and goes and kills himself with 5 minutes left, goes and lets himself die. So now JT is like, holy fuck, I have this much time. Now I can go into the neighborhood where the rich time holders live. So you get to see him bridge walk, so to speak, into a world, and he brings a chick back with him. So similar to my movie. It's so cool. Oof. 20 Shades of Us. That's what that sounds like. So yeah, I know, right? New discoveries. All right. Let's dive back in.
The use of white polished limestone casing stones provided insulation and reflection of sunlight. The inner surfaces were lined with dolomite, known for increasing electrical conductivity. Granite, slightly radioactive and containing quartz crystal, served as a conductor of piezoelectricity. Water flowing through the limestone and granite, combined with the stress and pressure within the pyramid, created electromagnetic energy. Also, the Great Pyramid's location magnified electromagnetic forces, and the chemical reactions within the structure allowed this energy to rise to the upper layers. When considering pyramid power and construction of pyramids, the transportation of heavy stones for such massive construction projects remains a mystery. The possibility of levitation by UFO assistance, as crazy as it may sound, could have played a part. Reverse engineering on UFOs has shown that they have the ability to create a force field where gravity doesn't exist, therefore allowing for the success of incredible speeds and abrupt turns. Or maybe a workforce of giants assisted with the creation of the pyramids. Ancient astronaut theorists believe that the ancient beings from outer space were behind the construction of massive structures. They suggest that the art of levitation through sonic or some other obscure method allowed ancient Egyptians to defy gravity and manipulate massive objects easily. But still, others insist that the ancient builders of the pyramids were giants. One of the proponents of the theory of the Egyptian giants was Canadian author, lecturer, astrologer, and mystic Manly P. Hall. According to an American author and journalist, Jason Colavito, Hall put forward a theory that the pyramids of Egypt had been built by giants, who were called the Shaddai, superhuman beings. And within those pyramids, they had stored a great treasure beyond the knowledge of man.
In the Asclepian dialogue, Hermes describes the fact that in a sense these buildings were memorials to the divine power. They bore witness to those times and those thoughts when the gods walked with men. They became part of a traditional heritage. The gods who walked with men were actually the gods in men, that it was a divine level of insight which resulted in the great architectural feedback which we know as the pyramids. The circumstances around them challenge our imagination. We know that whoever built the Great Pyramid of Giza was well acquainted with astronomy, that he had a very complete knowledge of the solar system and all of the wonders of the cosmic plan as revealed through the bodies and objects moving in the heavens. He knew the distances between the Earth and the other planets of the solar system. He knew the precession of the equinoxes. He realized the importance of the star groups. He already knew the decans and dodecanates of the zodiac. The only possible answer is that at the time the pyramid builders labored, they had a knowledge among themselves that had not been distributed to the people. Even the rulers did not possess this knowledge. And that there was a cult or sect of architects and artificers who knew the proportions and mathematics. Also, they require a skill and a group of instrumental aids, which we do not believe that antiquity possessed. We know that the Egyptians and other nations of that period were esotericists. We know that they had a knowledge of natural law far ahead of their time. These people had a deep appreciation for the immensity and integrity of the universal plan. They had never developed that strange type of egotism which impels us often to assume that God is depending upon us to take care of his purposes and plans. They did not think this. One thing is probably inevitable, that whoever built the pyramid had a very great knowledge. One thing that comes to mind then in connection with this whole situation is that we may have to revise our understanding of what antiquity was like. Somewhere along the way, there were tremendous minds, a great body of knowledge that was capable of planning and executing unbelievable works of skill, beauty, and wisdom. The Egyptians themselves were of the opinion that at a remote time the gods had been with men, that deities and divine powers walked the earth. Perhaps what they were trying to tell us is that in a remote time long ago, the human being was naturally mystical, naturally had the power of extrasensory perception, naturally could communicate or understand, estimate, or react to the divine principles upon which the universe was based. That the gods walking with men merely meant that the God power in man was not obscured as it is now. That gradually over a course of time, the material world has taken over. This depth of insight has been lost as the result of the individual being subjected to continual external conditioning. As a result of that, he has lost the power of direct contact with realities. There was undoubtedly a tradition that descended into Egypt from a still earlier source, a tradition based upon an internal development of spiritual resources. By 4,000 or 5,000 or even 10,000 BC, there was a great knowledge in the hands or in the keeping of a few persons. And these few persons more or less set up the system of mysteries which operated in Egypt, Greece, and the Roman Empire. The initiate system, which was the prevailing system in Egypt at that time, was based upon one tremendous point. The purposes of the mysteries, according to such initiates as Plotinus, Proclus, Iamblichus, Ammonius Saccas, and others, was that the individual should learn factually, truly, beyond question, beyond doubt, through personal experience, that death is an illusion.
So maybe it was with the help of giants that the pyramids were built. Maybe the stunning cathedrals and structures that still stand today were also built with the aid of giants. But why did giants exist then and not now? Well, a theory based upon the idea that our realm was once silicon-based and not carbon as it is today. This means that there was a time where carbon particles weren't dominating in our atmosphere. If the atmosphere were silicon-based, everything would be much larger than it is now. This includes all life on Earth, including man and trees. It's said that a race of giants had come to Earth and cut down all the trees. This is found in the book of Enoch, which was removed from the Bible. So what would happen if all these trees were cut down? The environment would quickly become carbon-based, as we are seeing as evidence of deforestation, which is the increase of CO2. But what evidence do we have to prove the existence of massive trees? Plenty.
Damn, that section goes so
When
hard.
it comes to modern-day giants, metaphorically speaking, Nikola Tesla, as one of the greatest inventors of our time, was a giant in his own right, tapping into the technological understanding that once propelled Tartarian civilization and rediscovering wireless energy transmission. Free electricity. Nikola Tesla, a renowned inventor, was fascinated by wireless transmission of energy and developed the alternating current AC electrical system. His Wardenclyffe Tower in New Jersey aimed to transmit radio waves and provide free electricity to the world. However, those in control opposed free energy because it threatened their control over people. Tesla's design not only harvested energy from the sky, but also utilized telluric currents, which are natural currents within the Earth for energy transmission. The existence of underground energy transmission is a secret held by those in power. Tesla's technology and ideas revolutionized the 20th century and laid the groundwork for future achievements. One notable 21st century giant that I'd like to bring to your attention is Charlie Zeiss, the creator of Stargate Pyramids. Stargate Pyramids provides the most powerful personal healing and meditation pyramids available today. Stargate Pyramids are based upon the extensive pyramid research done by Dr. Alexander Golod and his team of scientists on behalf of the Russian government. This is by far the most extensive research ever performed on the healing, free energy, agricultural, environmental, and materials science effects of pyramid energy fields. Unfortunately, the scientific articles underlying this research were not allowed to be published in academic or scientific journals in the West.
I'll pause it there. Oh, yeah. So those are Stargate Pyramids. I've got one, and it's actually very trippy when you get in there and you meditate under that. What's crazy too is they'll put they've been experimenting with samples of like blood. They'll get like blood, put it in like a sample dish, and they'll have two types. They'll keep the blood out and then put blood underneath, and you can see how much cleaner the blood looks when it's spent time underneath that energy. Similar with plants, they grow better inside of them. So there's a natural, just from PVC pipes and elbows connecting them. For some reason, if you have a specific degree in those pipes, it helps to facilitate. Maybe there's like they say the higher you go, the more energy there is to collect from the ether. So maybe as it elevates in height, there's like a effect, a compounding effect. Maybe, I don't know. That's where my mind goes. But yeah, I kind of made a commercial at the end there because I wanted them to make sales, and it feels weird watching, just to be honest.
I wonder why. Stargate Pyramids use the slant angle of 76.345 degrees, which is the geometric angle of universal phi scaling. Researchers Nassim Haramein and Dan Winter discovered that nature uses the golden ratio, phi, to scale all physical reality, but neither define the process of universal phi scaling or the associated geometry. Charlie's research has now been able to determine both the precise method used by nature to perform universal phi scaling, as well as the precise angle which produces it. These discoveries, along with the work of sacred geometer George Leoniak of New Geometry, have allowed Charlie to develop a first-of-its-kind model of the organizing principles of the universe. The 76.345 degree angle is found in architecture around the world and has been used for thousands of years. As we have discovered in this film, the many ancient religious buildings, Hindu and Buddhist temples, Gothic cathedrals, Greco-Roman structures, they were previously healing centers or power plants and were repurposed in more recent times to religious architecture. Well, now we know the science behind its healing powers. Keep in mind, This geometry is also found in the Giza Pyramid, ancient conical structures, obelisks, bell towers, castles, forts, Tartarian architecture, power plant cooling towers, hyperboloid structures, ancient symbols, Solomon's key, the Sri Yantra, contemporary nautical and aeronautical technology, racing cars, and even our DNA. Health research conducted by leading Russian scientists, the University of London, and the Pyramid Science Foundation all confirm the amazing health benefits derived from exposure to the coherent energy fields produced by universal phi scaling. This 76.345 degree angle is also found in all the major free energy technologies of the 19th and 20th centuries. These include Nikola Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, the Russian pyramids, the free energy technologies of Victor Schauberger, and the drawings of free energy pioneer John Keely. Recently, Dan Winter, perhaps the best-known contemporary proponent of free energy implosion physics, has concluded the 76.345 degree geometry is the key to free energy generation. I meditate and pray inside a Stargate pyramid. The feeling is like taking the soul to a bath. It's refreshing at a depth that can only be felt. Also, I highly recommend adding a Pyramid Surge capstone to your Stargate pyramid. Not just for aesthetics, as they are stunningly beautiful, but for the surge of healing energy they provide. The capstones are an essential addition to a Stargate pyramid as they top off the structure, adding more potency to its energetic field. In short, the two are made to go with each other. The capstones are designed with the same Russian pyramid angles of 76.345 degrees and are made with a combination of shungite, magnetite, basalt, bionized quartz sand, ormus, and colloidal silver. Lastly, they are incredibly easy to add to a Stargate pyramid. Pyramid Surge is created by another modern-day giant, Lisa Richards, who is a frequency influencer, a meditation master, spirit communicator, and dowser. She is the owner of Pyramid Surge, where she intuitively designs accessories for meditation pyramids and designs other energy transformation tools. She is head researcher and vice chairman of the Pyramid Science Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to pyramid energy research. If this is your first time hearing about Stargate pyramids and Pyramid Surge capstones, I invite you to visit both their websites, where you can learn more about what they offer. Lastly, we are gifting a discount to anyone who uses the promo code LIONSGATE. The promo code works on both websites. So, if you're interested, take a screenshot or look in the film notes and make sure to visit these sites when the film is over. See what we are doing? We are bringing back Tartaria into one home, one body at a time. In the days of the Tartarian technologies and understanding, the use of frequency, vibration, and energy became their keys to the universe. They were far more advanced than the technologies we marvel at today. Nikola Tesla was said to have discovered free energy, yet the Tartarians had mastered these universal energies long before him. Tesla was simply rediscovering what had been hidden. Could this be why his lab was raided and his research papers stolen, and why J.P. Morgan invested against free electricity as a means to enslave us to a system we had to work for? To be very clear, Tartaria was the whole world. It was Russia all the way to the Americas. It had a unified language and design. How could the many pyramids and cathedrals found all over the world incorporate the same thought and design if the Tartarians weren't all connected somehow? Colonies were an invention of the British Jesuit Empire, which defeated this once beautiful civilization, enslaved their white and black people, addicted them to opium and other drugs, and turned fragile nations into colonies to rob and destroy and erase all the worldwide cities. Then they installed their puppets in every government and rewrote all of history. public schooling founded by the Rockefeller and Rothschilds, Kurt Hofstadter, successfully reprogrammed our historical narrative once the children were separated from their parents. It is said that once one generation believes something to be true, the next generation assumes it to be true. The Tartarians are the cradle of civilization as the survivors and descendants of not just Rome, Greece, and Egypt, but of Hyperborea and Atlantis, topics we'll explore in future installments of this film series. It is said that history is written by the victors. The fact that the Tartarians were completely scrubbed from modern-day history proves this point. It's gotten to the point where when asked ChatGPT to condense an article on giants in Egypt, its reply was it wouldn't support topics related to terrorist organizations. One can only conclude that all of history is a lie, and the more we realize this, the more we discover the story of the one world benevolent society that lived in elegance, beauty, and harmony, that was connected spiritually, mentally, and physically, in love and peace. That is, until a dark force came and destroyed it. The very fact that you are watching this film is the greatest sign that we are taking our power back. By remembering what life used to be, we are taking a step closer to returning to this ancient way of life. And just because they've taken away our power, doesn't mean we can't take it back.
That's cool. Cool. So, you want to watch all my movies? Sign up free. Use the promo code free. Capital letters free. 3 months. Hang out. Binge. Watch my new movie. If you like it enough, support me. When you're done, stick around for the other one. I'm gonna be on a good groove for a while. So I'm just gonna be making a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff to make. So, speaking of which, I have to go to work. I have work to do. It's June 8th. The movie comes out on the 14th, and that's also Trump's birthday. And then part 2 comes out on my birthday, August 24th. So it's only a month and a half after the release. And what really you'll see ties in more of current day stuff. It's the ocean. And that's gonna be fun to make. I get to make that now. I rated this. That's cool. It's hot. Cool song. I'm just tripping on it. Yeah, this is gonna be such a cool movie, but it's in 2 parts now. It's Greatest Show on Earth 4, and I think maybe I'll call it, or maybe I'll just call it part 5. I just will just to make it like beautiful. You can want your name at the end of the films. Mug Club, if you're still part of the Mug Club, your names, I'm gonna start adding them back. The little 2 films I didn't have any credits really. Just kind of but this one's big. So, and then also lifetime members. The thing is, some people don't want their names on controversial movies, so that's the part where, and some people don't reply back to emails. That's where it gets hard. Because I don't want to. You know what I mean? Cool. All right, I'm gonna go do my thing. That was fun. I'll see you guys. I think I'm gonna come back on Wednesday because Missy wants to come on and vent, and she hasn't been on in a while. So she's all, "Let's go on. Let's do live on Wednesday, Nick. I got lots to say, Nick." So yes, that's fun. 3 hours. It's good. It's good. Good night. Have a sweet, sweet night. And I'll see you Wednesday or Friday, but most likely Wednesday and Friday. To be continued. Mwah. Ciao.